Welcome to the Minnesota American Legion Patriots podcast. I'm Mike Perry, your host. Today we're talking with Cy Fix, way down in the southeast corner, La Crescent, Minnesota. And is that 595? Post 595. Great post, by the way. And we're just generally going to be talking about Legion things. And of course, Cy, you've been very involved in oratorical.
Correct.
That's really how I first met you. And so let's start right there because that's about the youth.
Yes, it is. Oratorical is a program of Americanism. And I guess since I'm on the National Americanism Council, I enjoy what I do as far as Americanism is concerned. But oratorical, I'm the district oratorical chairman. I did spend a year being the department oratorical chairman. And I guess I stick with it because the youth of this country are absolutely amaze you. You know, you can go to the schools and see what the kids do, but when you break it down to individual programs and individual things that the youth can do, and you show up in an oratorical contest and you listen to these kids, and the oratorical contest is based off of their speech, their 8 to 10 minute speech, or they have which is where we give them 4 articles of our Constitution of the United States, articles or amendments. They have to focus on those 4. And then that's for the 3 to 5 minute speeches. So there's 4 of them that they have to memorize there. Their 8 to 10 is whatever they want to speak of within the Constitution, but it has to be within the Constitution. And so you think about what these kids are memorizing, and they cannot use any props, they can't use any microphones. Everybody, I mean, it's all, the contest is so even. We set up, when I set up our contest, we have judges from the community, sometimes within the Legion. And these kids just do an amazing, amazing job. And you know that when they speak, it's my goodness, you listen to them, you sit back there, talk about things, and you learn. And I've learned things about the Constitution that I didn't know existed in the Constitution just by listening to these kids. So I've been at this for a few years, being oratorical, being involved in oratorical. But these kids, they're like start when they're freshmen in high school, and they compete every year. If they don't win, they can always come back, and if they win, they can keep on going. But once they go to national, every state in the nation, including Puerto Rico, they all have opportunities to send kids to national oratorical contest, which is in Indianapolis every year. But if you go to Indianapolis and you win in Indianapolis, you're done. If you're a freshman in high school, you win in Indianapolis, you're done. You can't compete anymore. But Indianapolis, a championship there, it's a $25,000 scholarship for a child when they win that oratorical contest. Here in this Department of Minnesota, it's $1,500. And every district has their own thing if they decide to do any type of monetary thing for their oratorical winners. We have 10 districts in the state of Minnesota, so we usually have 10. Sometimes all districts only have a representative, but for the most part, every district has a representative to meet up in the cities to compete. And we have ours in the first district. We have our competition in January every year. And it's amazing. The kids that come out probably, at least from what I have seen in our district, homeschooled kids.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Homeschooled. And it's amazing. And they're usually pretty successful at the homeschool. The homeschooled children are really pretty successful in the oratorical contest. But that doesn't mean that those that are in the parochial schools or private schools aren't we don't have I'm not saying we don't have the participation there, but it just want people to know that homeschool kids are not eliminated from this contest because they don't go to any of our schools, I guess.
Right.
But it is a great program. I think it's probably one of the top 2 Legion baseball and oratorical.
Oh, sure.
Are the 2 things that I'm kind of.
And soon softball is going to be right up there
right.
as well.
We just got that started this last year, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
The American Legion overall.
Yes. Oh my goodness! The American Legion. I've been a Legion member for 46 years now. I guess my family, both sides of my family, are really so pro-military. Most of my mom came from a large family of 13, and her brother served. My dad served. His brother served. World War II, Korean War. My mother lost a brother in World War II, and she lost a brother-in-law in the Korean War, and I have a cousin up in Alaska who lost a son in Afghan, and so the family is, in fact, the Legion post back in my hometown was named after my mom's brother and her cousin. It doesn't no longer exist. My town only has like 10 people left in my hometown, you know. The building is still there, but it's not a Legion anymore. So Legion's always been kind of in my family's blood. You know, my dad was a charter member of the Legion back home. But you know, Legion has so much stuff to offer. The community has so much stuff to offer our members and our veterans. You know, I guess now one of the things that's really the forefront is PTSD. A lot of things going on with PTSD. The Legion is out there fighting tooth and nail to get with Congress and the VA and work with the Congress and the VA to try to find solutions as to what we can do to help those that are, you know, maybe have a tendency to want to maybe think about committing suicide. You know,
Right.
and it's a sad thing, and that our veterans shouldn't have to go through that. You know, like I'm sure you remember yesterday we had this young lady that came to talk to the entire Legion family, talked about her son. She lost her son to PTSD, and what she went through. And she mentioned that on average there's like 22 active military that commit suicide every day. That's unheard of. That just can't
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
That's just too much. So that's one of the things that the Legion focuses on. And Legion has many programs that we're involved with. You know, the Yellow Ribbon and Boots on the Ground. And I mean, just so much stuff that we get involved in. And everything focuses on particular areas that maybe veterans or community or family, you know, that might need help of some sort within the community. So
You know, and that's really, when one thinks about it, it's a volunteer organization.
Yes, it is.
And it's filled with many different types of personalities. And,
It is.
And ones like yourself that are so engaged. And we talk about the number game and what the numbers mean, and I'm talking membership, when we end up going up to the Hill, to Congress, because we all know every now and then through the budget cycle, it seems that our congressional leaders somewhat lose sight of what the veterans have done.
You know, you're right. You know, it used to be back in the days, you know, if you look back and go back to the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you know, there were probably at least half, if not more, of those members of Congress were veterans.
Absolutely, yes.
And now, I bet you there's less than 10%, you know. And it's much harder for us to fight for things for our veterans and try to get things done through Congress or veterans. But we just have to keep acting. When a bill is out there, you know, the Legion's always out there telling their members and whoever will listen to us, call your congressman, call your congressman. You got to let them know. Say, hey, you need to support this. It's very important. Tell them why we need to have this particular bill supported. But yeah, you know, and there is that diversity of personalities in the American Legion. But I tell you, it always seems, it doesn't matter what your personality is. You know, I told somebody one time, well, we said something about being a veteran and getting active in the American Legion and so forth, and what is it about to being a veteran or being in the military or being a Legion member is. I said, you know what, there is no place in the world where you can work. I don't care if you work someplace for 30 years or 40 years and you get to know people that are next to you all the time. You retire and you go on. Yeah, you sort of kind of keep in touch with them, but maybe on down the line, or maybe you've worked for somebody for 5 or 6 years, you know, when you first get out of high school, what have you. And you move on to another job. Do you ever really remember those people that you worked with when your first job for 5 or 6 years? Probably not. But I'll guarantee you, anybody that goes in the service, whoever they served with, in the first 5 or 6 years of getting out of high school, whatever, they remember those people.
Yeah,
and that camaraderie and that friendship is always there. You never forget. I mean, it's just, unless you've been in the military, you just don't know what that feeling is like.
Right.
You just don't.
Exactly.
And so, yes, there's diversity in personalities, but it's all one mission.
Yep. Veterans for veterans.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Cy Fix has been our guest today on the Patriots podcast. Thank you very much, Cy.
You betcha. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for your 46 years of membership and your engagement. I know that when you are around any meeting, people kind of perk up because That's the personality you have.
Well, sometimes people say, well, this meeting's going to last a while, Cy here.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you once again,
Thank you,
Cy,
Mike.
for
Thank you,
being
Mike.
here.
You bet.
You've
Thank
been
you.
listening to the Minnesota American Legion Patriots podcast. Until we meet again, be the one.